All right, let's do this. Kim Gagi, everybody. I always say it. I always got something good going on. So this one you're going to want to pay attention to. I've kind of figured it out to be about 4 videos. So first, let's get on the road. And I'll get to the point here. So we have the best motorcycle ever made. The Honda Trail 125. Let's get this one going. So, we are going to go on a little trip here. I got to run an errand. And I wanted to bring you along. I also wanted to tell you something that I've been asked God knows how many times, to explain why I'm a vegetarian. Oh, yeah. God, I love this bike. I've been asked multiple times to make a video about why I'm a vegetarian. So we'll go back to 1987. I was in high school, and I had a good friend, and sorry, that was me hitting the wrong button. I had a friend that had a sister, older, that was a vegetarian herself. And I thought, well, if I could become a vegetarian, she might notice me. That didn't happen. Long story short, I told her, hey, I'm a vegetarian too. And she's just like, I was like, oh, Tried to sit with her at lunch. She was 2 grades above me, so she had no interest in sitting with me or talking with me, because I was also my good friend's friend, or her brother's friend. So I also was, in my head I was trying to think of a way, because I very much at some point in time of my young life very much disliked my stepmother. Her and I just never saw eye to eye. So I thought, well, if I became a vegetarian, I won't sit at a dinner table with her. And that was like a flame to a moth. And I'll explain this. Me telling her that I was going to become a vegetarian, I wasn't going to sit at a dinner table for, supper for most of us growing up, Gen X. We used to sit around a dinner table. I know, crazy thought, but no. She thought of the best way to support me was to 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, steamed vegetables only, sitting at the table. That is a big thing of broccoli steamed, a big thing of cauliflower steamed, and typically like potatoes or green beans or whatever else. And my house that I grew up in was actually somewhat healthy comparative to what today is. We did not have a 5-pound bag of sugar. We did not have salt and pepper on the table very often. We look at it today and go like, it's not healthy, but she also bought the no cholesterol tub of butter, vegetable oil, but it just backfired. It just sucked. So literally you sat down to a dinner table with steamed vegetables. Well, the third reason why I became a vegetarian was really not really, it was just another thing of going like, I don't need to eat a dead animal if I could just go down to the grocery store and pick up items to eat. you know, it just made sense. I can go down there and pick up anything without killing anything. So I kind of felt like, you know what, this is a good thing. I'm gonna get the girl. I'm not gonna have to sit down at the dinner table, and I'm not gonna have to kill any animals. You know, that was my young brain. You know, I was young and dumb. I was a teenager. So those were the three real reasons why I started this path of eating, you know, eating everything but a dead animal. And I never had such a problem. Never, ever, ever. But I can tell you 3 stories during that time that, you know, I ate meat with a job that's going to shock you. So, became a vegetarian in '87, and I decided in around 1990 to become a butcher's apprentice. Basically, I worked at a grocery store, and they offered the fish counter or the meat counter, and I said, well, I'll become the meat counter guy. You know, I was thinking that between the two, I'd rather probably do that, because again, I am one of the coolest vegetarians that you'll ever meet. I never told anybody that they couldn't eat meat. I mean, I cooked meat. You know, I bought meat for people, like, you know, both my exes. You know, I bought the dinners that they might have had a steak or whatever else. So, you know, put that down. Vegetarian, working in the meat department. The 3 stories about me eating meat was, I remember sometime in the early 2000s, I went to a restaurant and they had cheese tortellini soup, and I asked the waitress, I said, is it vegetarian? You know, is it vegetable broth? Or, and she went back, she asked the cook, she came back, she says, nope, 100% vegetarian. Well, you know, I hadn't put meat in my mouth. I know what you guys are saying, you know, but I never had, you know, I knew what stuff tasted like. Man, I still remember it was 3 tortellinis, 3 of them, sitting on a spoon. And I put that in my mouth, and it was the most disgusting thing I'd ever tasted. And I'm like, that's chicken broth. That's not vegetable broth. I didn't think very much of it. I didn't swallow, you know, anything of it, but about 20 minutes later, you know, I think it was all up in my mind, but, you know, went into the bathroom, spit up a little bit in my mouth, we'll say. So, that was that time. Then it was later 2000s. I remember I was coming home from work, and I stopped by my most favorite restaurant, Taco Hell. Yeah, one of the best restaurants I ever remember as, you know, at my age. You know, it was my go-to restaurant if I was ever going to eat fast food, because I never went to fast food as a vegetarian, except Burger King. They occasionally had the veggie burger. But I stopped by Taco Bell late one night, picked up food for me and my first wife, and I was like, oh, I'm just going to eat this real quick before I get home. And I'd ordered a bean burrito. It was not bean. It was a beef burrito, and still to this day I can't imagine anybody ingesting the meat that Taco Bell provides. But, you know, again, you're talking to somebody that hadn't eaten meat for over, you know, a decade and a half, almost 2 decades. So it brings me to my 3rd story. Yep, second wife. We were at a restaurant, one of our most favorite restaurants. Actually, it's the restaurant, I believe, that we did our marriage, wedding, whatever you call that. It was where we got wedded, and it was where we actually had our dinner. And but it wasn't the wedding night, it was before that. She had ordered scallops, and I don't recall if I had already made her scallops or not, but she cut off this little sliver of scallop, and she goes, you know, if you love me, meaning if you want the punani, you'll eat this, you know, if you just try it. All right, fine, I'll try a scallop. Never had a scallop before I became vegetarian. You know, there was most stuff I ate when I was pre-15. Man, I ate everything. So it wasn't anyways. So I decided that I would eat the little piece of scallop. Well, it just tasted like, you know, it tastes like it looks. A white sliver of rubberiness, coated in butter, and, you know, the flavor from the pan. Would I have eaten another one? No, it really didn't taste like very much. So, I mean, I did actually get vegetarian scallops from like some health food store place, but yeah, they tasted almost the exact same thing. It was just a rubbery white fishy kind of like thing. So that's my story. You know, I've put meat in my mouth you know, 3 times, and never really thought about it. So, you know, it's no big problems. So that's my story. You guys all wanted to know, oh, do not enter one way. Oh, well, do not enter. Okay. I'm trying to go here, but this is where my little thing is that I need to, that says golf cart parking, but I mean, golf cart parking only. I mean, aren't I a golf cart? Or do I just become an ass and do this? Okay, fine. This says only. I'll take up a whole spot for my little 125. Crazy. Alright. You know what? I'll continue when I get back. I'll be right back. Oh. Hey Blake, you're gonna need money, right? So let's bring that in. Let's leave that here. I'll bring the helmet in. You know, leave a comment below. Tell me what you think. You know, I'm 54 years old, and still haven't really, you know, ever thought about eating meat. So that's where I'm at. Sorry about the noise. Guys are just doing their job. Oh, look at that. Nice little bowl. Alright. See you in a minute.